Hello everyone, my name is Samuel Ryman and this is Samuel's Racing Show. It's been a little while since we've done this and I had a friend mention it to me the other day. Said, hey, why don't you still do that? You know, he actually watched these things and found out some interesting content about series he wouldn't otherwise watch. And that's good, that's the point of it. This is meant to be a hub to kind of talk about, you know, a variety of different racing series, because I am keeping up with 19 different racing series this season and I've got little buttons for all of them. Watch this. Ooh, there's Formula One. There's NASCAR. And hey, here's IMSA. And we'll pop those up as we go along. But it's a lot of different racing series, and I haven't done any episodes so far this year, so I'm going to try and skim through them quickly while giving them their justice and talk about, you know, the storylines in each of the 19 series going on so far this season. So let's start with Formula One. They just did their fifth round of the season today, the San Marino Grand Prix. Yeah, it's the fourth round. Because Charles Leclerc has won 2 races so far this season, and now Max Verstappen has won 2 races this season. I'm a Ferrari fan. I thought we would eventually see them back on top form, and it is coming to fruition, and that's great. They've got 2 great drivers who have extended contracts, and deservedly so. They're putting on great performances. That being said, it obviously wasn't a great race for Ferrari today. Carlos Sainz got involved in an incident in turn 1, just one of those racing deals, and Charles Leclerc dropped to third at the start, was trying to get second from Perez in the closing stages, spun, hit the wall, and dropped back to 6th place. Lucky the car kept running. I am disappointed and a little bit nervous that happened for Ferrari, because I really think in the long run, Train Bear, he's a YouTuber who has a lot more views than me, and deservedly so, because he knows how to do animation and stuff that I do not. I just know how to make buttons pop up. There's NASCAR again. Where was I going with this? Talking about Train Bear, he did a video explaining how the fact that it's new technical regulations in Formula One, we're going to see some teams make leaps up the field later on this season, especially with 23 rounds. And so I am nervous for Ferrari, because I think that does give Red Bull and Mercedes ample opportunity to catch them. So Ferrari really need to score more points than Red Bull and Mercedes while they have the best car now, and I don't think they're doing a great job of that. Red Bull has won 2 races, and Mercedes, even though they have a poor car, they're able to score points too, especially in George Russell camp. So, no, I don't think we're going to see Hamilton win an 8th title this season, but I would be concerned if I was Ferrari about George Russell being able to capitalise with a poor car right now, because if Mercedes does have a good car toward the end of the season, I could see him doing well. Kudos to Aston Martin on getting both of their cars in the top 10 after having a poor season so far. Kudos to McLaren on Norris getting 3rd, even though everyone loves Norris, and I think he's a cool guy too. The Ferrari fan in me is like, I don't want McLaren to do better than Ferrari in the long run, but we'll see how that goes. And kudos to Valtteri Bottas as well, getting 5th place today. Bottas has had a very strong opening to the season in Alfa Romeo. Alright, we're going to go into the Formula One support divisions. We'll go through these quickly though, because I'm not sure everyone's able to follow them. I have F1 TV. It's one of the best things about F1 TV, is being able to follow Formula 2 and Formula 3. They have sprint races on Saturday and feature races on Sunday. For Formula 2 at Imola, the sprint race winner was Armstrong, and the feature race winner was Teo Porcher. And get familiar with that name, because he's been performing very strongly as one of the younger drivers, but one of the more consistent drivers. The feature race this morning actually was quite interesting. There were many safety cars that led to multiple strategies. And then there were a few big names in the series that binned it. Liam Lawson and Yuri Vips, 2 of the strongest names in the series, also binned it. Another driver who wrecked and possibly could have won is Roy Nissany. However, I would not consider Roy Nissany exactly one of the top names in the sport. If he is one of the more mentioned names in the sport, unfortunately, sometimes it's not for a good reason. Let's go into Formula 3 real quick. Again, these names, I don't know. You don't always pay as much attention to, because you know that the Formula 2 drivers are really the ones knocking on the door of F1 seats. But Colapinto won the sprint race on Saturday, and the cool thing about that was he races for a new team. I think it's been around sports car races, but it's new to Formula 3 and Formula 2 this year, to my knowledge. Van Andersport. And he's actually had a couple of strong showings so far this season. Another two names who keep coming up towards the front in Formula 3 right now are Oliver Bearman, who is a British driver, who's a Ferrari Academy driver, who won a couple of regional championships over in Europe last year. So we go into the first round of the season, and he wins the first race, and I'm like, okay, I like this guy, a British person, a Ferrari Academy driver, and he's performing really well. He lost that win. 5-second penalty, track limits, I think, was the reason he lost that win. And at Imola, he had two very incident-filled races. So Oliver Bearman going through a couple of growing pains right now. On the flip side of a coin, the driver who inherited that win was called, I think his first name is Isaac, Hadjar, as in literally he had a jar and then he lost it. Hadjar, Hadjar, and he has had a couple of wins, I believe, so far this season over in Formula 3. At the very least, he's performing strongly, so keep an eye on him. Since we're on the subject of Formula 1 Support Series, also making a note of W Series here. Not thrilled about the fact that we're 3 seasons into it, and one driver who, of course, writes all the headlines there, Jamie Tradwick, hasn't really been able to advance much out of W Series. She's been making performances in other series, but, you know, not up the Formula 3 ladder or anything along those lines. Haven't seen any of that from any of the drivers in W Series, so hopefully that will start to change. I think their season kicks off at Miami in 2 weeks. I think they're the support division now. NASCAR. The NASCAR Cup Series has been entertaining this year, and of course one of the big stories over there is 3 drivers who are really having, actually probably more than 3, but 3 drivers in particular having breakout seasons. Ross Chastain in the number 1 Trackhouse Racing Team Chevrolet, who of course won today's race at Talladega. He has now won 2 races so far this season. His teammate Daniel Suarez is performing strongly as well, but hasn't made it to victory lane yet. The second one, of course, Chase Briscoe in the Stewart-Haas Racing Ford, the number 14 car. He got that win at Phoenix, was it? It was one of the shorter tracks. So good for him. And then Tyler Reddick, the number 8 RCR. I think I got all the teams right. Yay, go me. I'm normally weak on the team knowledge over NASCAR. He has not had a win yet. He should have won Bristol. And as much as I was praising Chase Briscoe literally 10 seconds ago for getting a win, I was not a big fan of Chase Briscoe's move at Bristol, because he really had no hope, I think, of winning that race, and he kind of just, you know, took Tyler Reddick out, and kudos to Reddick for taking that in good stride, because I probably wouldn't have. And normally when it comes to iRacing, which by the way we will get to, that's the last series I'll talk about, you know, I think I'm well tempered, but yeah, no, being taken out from my first win in the final turn with a move that was never on, wasn't Chase Briscoe's most glorious moment, I must confess. That being said, I had absolutely no problem really with what Ross Chastain did to AJ Allmendinger at the end of a race at COTA, because Allmendinger bumped him, so he bumped him back. And it worked. Kudos to him. NASCAR Xfinity Series. They were at Talladega this week as well. Ross Chastain again won over in the Cup in the Xfinity Series. It was Noah Gragson holding off a solid performance by Jeffrey Earnhardt appearing in the number 3 car. And of course that was a feel-good story there. But at the end of the day it was Noah Gragson getting the job done. The commentators a couple of weeks ago made a note of as kind of a big three emerging in the Xfinity Series, and I would have to agree with them that Noah Gragson, Ty Gibbs, and AJ Allmendinger seem to be up there. There's other drivers who are occasionally appearing up there as well. And it's interesting how Ty Gibbs is all of a sudden becoming the controversial driver of those three of the Xfinity Series. It's kind of, I think, taking some of that weight off of Noah Gragson, because I think he's kind of held that title, held that status for the past couple of years. Now he's kind of just like the normal person, almost kind of quiet compared to all the drama that Ty Gibbs seems to have been getting himself involved in. Alright, as you can imagine, as soon as I drink this water, we're going over to the Truck Series. And I have to push a couple of buttons to make that happen until I can figure out a better way to do it. The NASCAR Truck Series. They were not in action this weekend at Talladega, but the story really there has been the two powerhouse Toyota teams of Kyle Busch Racing and also Thor Sport. And then, of course, Zane Smith also doing well in the front row Motorsports Ford there. But the driver I really like to keep my eye on, right? You have this a powerhouse team, the Chevys of Nice Motorsports. All their numbers are chronological. I think they have like number 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, and 45. And the only driver in that team, I think, that is consistently performing stronger than all the other drivers in that team is Carson Hocevar. And I remember the first time I noticed Hocevar because I was looking at the timing on the left-hand side column, as I was watching the broadcast, and I'm like, is his name Hovercar? I don't know. I don't know why I went there. But anyway, that first grabbed my attention, and he also seems to have a bit of a neat personality. He's on social media a lot, and he gets it done on the racetrack. I say he gets it done on the racetrack. He hasn't got the win yet. He got close at Bristol Dirt Track, and so I'm keeping my eye on that guy. Alright, let's go over to IndyCar. They're going to be at Barber this weekend. IndyCar have had an interesting start to the season because Scott McLaughlin could have won 2 races so far this season at St. Pete and at Texas. He did win St. Pete, but on Texas it was his Penske Chevrolet teammate Joseph Newgarden who took the win. And then also he went on to win at Long Beach. So McLaughlin could have had 2 wins, but instead it's his Penske teammate Newgarden, who has gone on to have 2 wins so far early in the season. And of course, the fact that Jimmy Johnson finished 6th place at Texas was also a bit of a highlight. And they've started doing testing for the Indy 500 as well too, and he looks to be quick there. I don't know why, when you're as old and as successful and you have a family like Jimmy Johnson does, why he's doing the high-speed IndyCar ovals where there's a higher probability of a crash that could result in injury. I don't know why he's doing that, but you know what? He had a solid performance at Texas, and hopefully, himself and everyone keeps it safe in Indianapolis throughout the season, and however long Jimmy wants to continue to be in IndyCar, and we'll see how well he does. He obviously got off to a good start on his oval campaign in Texas. Alright, MotoGP, they were racing today over at Portimao, I believe, in Portugal. And it was a bit of a walk in the park for Fabio Quartararo, who is the defending champion. So, if you haven't been following MotoGP the past few years, Marc Marquez was absolutely dominant a few years ago, but then he started to have a couple of big crashes that resulted in injuries, and as a result, a couple of riders have picked up the pieces in 2020 and 2021. Mir won it in 2020, and Quartararo won it in 2021. I think the strongest rider consistently, I suppose. There are races where he's proven me wrong, but I think the strongest rider in MotoGP right now is Quartararo. That being said, he's not walking away with it like what we saw Marquez do, or what we used to see Stoner do, or Rossi do. It has really become anyone's game in MotoGP ever since Marc Marquez started to have those injuries. It is kind of interesting seeing who's going to win the championship there, but no one's really came and filled the void left by Marc Marquez of, oh, this is the new face of MotoGP, which, seems to be quite common there. Normally you do have a rider up there dominating. Speaking of riders up there dominating on motorcycles, 450. Okay, so this means the 450 class in Monster Energy Supercross. Eli Tomac hasn't won the championship yet. Will very likely win it this season over in Denver. And it's been, Jason Anderson's keeping the championship alive, but there's been a lot of injuries, as there normally is in Supercross throughout this season, and it's a bit of a shame because I wrote down a list of all the riders I thought could, contend for strong finishes in Supercross at the start of the season, and it was about 15 names long, and now it's down to 7. Unless they run into incidents, there are 7 riders right now who are going to finish ahead of everyone else, and they are Cooper Webb, Eli Tomac, Jason Anderson, Chase Sexton, Marvin Musquin, Malcolm Stewart, and Justin Barcia. And it's just a pity that we've lost riders throughout the season, such as Dylan Ferrandis, such as Ken Roxon, Aaron Plessinger, and a couple other riders come to mind. But, season's almost coming to an end, and then they'll go do motocross, and then they'll be back for Supercross next season, and hopefully those injuries will healed up. Those injuries will be healed up. We'll have a bit more of a championship fight, but kudos to Eli Tomac. He is absolutely on top form right now. And again, that was a void that had been kind of left open in Supercross ever since Ryan Villapoto retired. No one's ever really kind of... not Ryan Villapoto, Ryan Dundry. Ever since Ryan Dundry retired, no one's ever kind of really came out and been the new king of Supercross. But I don't know, if Eli Tomac continues to perform like he has this year, next season, that could be changing. Or, of course, they could be joined by riders over in 250. 250 East was racing this weekend, and Jett Lawrence won the championship. Everyone is on board the Jett Lawrence bandwagon, and I get it. He's a fast rider, he's a great personality, and he's easy for the fans to get behind. That being said, I just felt so bad for Faulkner when Jett Lawrence made that mistake in the middle of the season, had a mid-air collision with Faulkner, and Faulkner went down injured, and that kind of... I hate to say by default Jett Lawrence won the championship because he injured his championship rival, because of course there's 2 things wrong with that. First off, he didn't do it on purpose, and secondly, he was probably going to beat Faulkner in the long run even if Faulkner hadn't got injured. But I don't know, it just rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. But no, kudos to him. Jett Lawrence has been on top form. But one thing that was interesting, and that's going to lead us to our next button, and you probably already know what it is, 250 West, is the fact that Jett Lawrence was not able to win when they did the East-West showdown. Now, granted, it's because he had a crash during that race. He was able to get back up. I think he finished 3rd or something. Instead, it was his brother who ended up winning. And that might be one of the more interesting championships still left in Supercross this season, is Hunter Lawrence has really been on top form recently, and for the first half of the season, Christian Craig was absolutely dominating, while Hunter Lawrence was getting bad starts or not doing well in qualifying, and Christian Craig was building up a points lead, and now Hunter Lawrence is slowly eating back up into that. There's only 2 races left. Craig's still got a good points lead, so it's probably going to go in Craig's favour, but he's got to be a little bit careful. we've seen crazy championships decided before. All right, now we come into the sports car segment, and unfortunately, I'm going to skim through this because this is more of me holding myself accountable to keep up with the stories in sports cars because I haven't done a great job of that over the past few years. The problem is that you tune in or you watch your highlights, and the coverage mostly highlights on the fast cars, the prototypes. So currently in FIA WEC, it's Hypercar, and currently in IMSA, which as you can imagine is the next button, it's the DPI class. But there's only 4 hypercars, and there's only been 7 DPI cars over in IMSA. So unfortunately, when you're, the division that kind of makes the headlines is only represented by a single-digit amount of cars, that's it doesn't make me very excited about getting into it. But I'm gonna try and keep up throughout the season. Obviously, the 24-hour of Le Mans is always special. 24-hour of Daytona always kicks off a racing season, and might as well hit the IMSA button while I'm ranting about all this. And Ganassi have had a good start to the season in IMSA. They didn't win Daytona, but I think they've won all the races since then. So hopefully, both those series, I think, are trying to work closer with each other so that cars and teams can go back and forth in the prototypes and in the GTs as well. I don't know. I've just had a hard time. A hard time getting into a series where its headline division is single-digit car counts. Formula E, what are they in now? Like a 7th season or something? I can never find a TV schedule that well for Formula E. I know I could try harder, but really I kind of wish it was more accessible. I love it when you go on like MotoGP.com, F1.com, and NASCAR.com, and well, I don't know if NASCAR does it, but I know Formula One and MotoGP for sure. Their schedules update automatically to the time zone you're in, so you know what time the race is going on live. And I've struggled in the past to find that for Formula E. Maybe I'm just not looking in the right places. But anyway, talking about the actual action itself, Mercedes, Porsche and Jaguar have all been performing strongly. Well, they've all won this year. I do find it difficult at times to keep up, to keep interested in the series. So racing is great, and it's got the correct manufacturer's interest, but yeah, at the end of the day, it does seem kind of like they're just racing super-powered bumper cars around tiny little street courses, and that they're a bunch of names that either they're has-beens in racing or they're up-and-coming drivers, trying to make it into Formula One or something, or it's it's a sports car driver's open-wheel playground almost. That all being said, I am very interested about this upcoming race because they're going to be racing on the streets of Monaco, the full circuit, and last year at Monaco they had a pass for the lead on the final lap, which is something Formula One hasn't had. Yeah, I don't know the right answer to that when there was the last lap pass for the lead in Formula One. I think in like 1970 someone ran wide on the final turn and put it in the wall, didn't they? And someone snuck by for the win. So it has happened in Formula One at Monaco, but I don't think it's been for a little while. Monster Jam. So I work for Feld Entertainment. I probably should have led with that disclaimer before talking about all the Supercross series. And Monster Jam is, I can tell you, is trying to bill itself for more as a motorsport series as well as an entertainment event. And one of the things they've been trying to do that to help that in the past couple of years before COVID happened, and they're doing it again this year, is when they have 5 different tour championships on the road, the winner for each of those tour championships earns an automatic bid into Monster Jam World Finals, which is coming up at the end of May, the end of next month, in Orlando, Florida. And you know, so for Monster Jam fans, for fans who go to the events and try and follow the action, that is a story that we, you know, try and get across to people, that they're all fighting for points so that they can win the Tour Championship, they get to World Finals, and that's obviously the event that all of the Monster Jam drivers want to be in. A couple of championships have been clinched. Weston Anderson has won a championship. Ryan Anderson has won a championship. Brandon Vincent is likely going to win a championship very shortly. The other two Tour championships are currently undecided. And yeah, no, I'm obviously going to be able to go to that event. I'm looking forward to it. There's going to be 4 different challenges, 4 different world championships. There's going to be freestyle and racing, of course, and then the high jump and the skills challenge, which were part of Monster Jam World Finals 19. So it's good. You know, unfortunately, at Feld we had a massive interruption with what happened with COVID, but it's nice to get it rolling back again, and so just want to put that on everyone's radar that is coming up at the end of May. And then, of course, we have one in England over in June, and I'm going to try and go to that, so that should be fun. All right, let's go into the virtual world now. Lionheart is the iRacing league I compete in, and there's 3 different tours here, and the one I'm actually in is in Speedway, so I'm just going to skim through the Lionheart and Retro. Lionheart, Philip Kraus has won 3 out of 4 races so far. Adam Blocker, and they were all the oval races. Adam Blocker won the road course race after Philip Kraus ran wide on his outlap and had to settle for second. So it looks like Adam Blocker's reigning. He's won the last few championships in a row. I can't remember the exact number. Sorry, Adam, if you're watching this. But it looks like that could come to an end. I know it's early days in the season, though. Lionheart Retro Series has been the complete opposite. They've had different winners and in each race, and they had a bit of excitement at the last race at Pocono, where Chris Fowler binned it from the lead on the final restart. Completely did that all on his own. 4 different winners, 4 different races, and I'm keeping an eye on it because it's Lionheart's 2nd tier series. I'm in the 3rd tier right now, Speedway, so I'm thinking about naturally progressing back up to Retro last year. And this is the last and most important series that we're going to talk about, because I compete in it. And I am 7th in the points after the opening 5 rounds of the 18-round season. I entered as an independent. I kind of don't like talking to people during the races, but Craig Forsyth races for 4D Racing, has won 2 races of the 5 so far this season, and his teammate Jim Herrick has a podium as well. I'm looking for wins and podiums in the long run in this in the Speedway series. So they offered me a ride over at 4D, and I took it. And again, sitting 7th in the points. I'm 2nd in the rookie standings, and I think 4D is leading the team standings. That's a nice little event that goes on Monday nights, and you can check out those highlight videos for my channel. Well, let me know what you think of this format as I turn all the lights back on. We've talked about Lionheart, we've talked about Monster Jam, Formula E and sports cars with the small car counts. We've talked about all of the Supercross series that are coming to an end, and Eli Tomac looking to clinch a championship this weekend at his home race in Denver, I think it is. MotoGP and IndyCar, which is racing this weekend at Barber Motorsports, all the 3 NASCAR series. NASCAR has been fun to watch this weekend. W Series hasn't started up yet, but that's soon going to change. The Formula 1 support series are as exciting as ever, and Formula 1, go Ferrari, but it'll be interesting in the long run seeing if Red Bull and Mercedes can catch him. Hope you all enjoyed the show, everyone, and we'll see you all around.